The LA Clippers just lost in the play-in to the Warriors, and it was such a close game, but it finishes off what has been a crazy season for the Clippers. Before the season even started, the Clippers were already dealing with a scandal with the Kawhi Leonard and aspiration salary cap scandal, and then the Clippers got off to an abysmal 6-21 start, and right after that, they went on a crazy win streak, and for like a month and a half, were the best team in the NBA, and during that stretch, their second best player, an all-star player in James Harden, requested a trade from the team, so they traded him to the Cavs and got Darius Garland. Then they traded their third best player, Ivica Zubac, to the Indiana Pacers, and after all that, still made the play-in and then lost. And after all of this chaos in a single season, it brings us to the question, what is next for the LA Clippers? And it feels like for the first time since Kawhi Leonard joined the Clippers in 2019 that his future is actually being questioned, because at the post-game press conference, Kawhi Leonard was asked about his future with the Clippers, and this is what he said.
Let me cry about this loss a little bit more. We're going to have our discussions when that time comes.
And to me, as a fan of the Clippers, it seems like after they lost the play-in game, it feels like we're about to enter a new era for the Clippers. Because it kind of seems like the writing is on the wall that the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard seems like it might be mutually beneficial for both sides to part ways and go different directions. And to me, it seems like it's most likely going to come down to Kawhi Leonard himself and what he actually wants. Is Kawhi Leonard going to prioritize staying home in California close to where he's grown up, or does he want to try and prioritize being a contender and joining a contending team? Because I personally don't think that if Kawhi Leonard doesn't want to leave the Clippers, I don't think that Clippers GM Lawrence Frank and the rest of the front office are going to force him out. I think it's going to come down to what Kawhi himself wants. However, if I was the GM of the Clippers, if I was in Lawrence Frank's shoes, I think it's best for the Clippers to move on from Kawhi Leonard and try and trade him away and get a good package of assets for the future of this team. Because after the trade deadline, after trading away James Harden, after trading away Zubac, it seems like this franchise is moving towards a different direction with a more youthful approach, trying to accumulate more young talent and more draft capital, because for years, this team has been starving of those two things. And this team now has Darius Garland, which looks like is going to be the point guard of the future for the Clippers. It seems like Ty Lue and Darius Garland already have a really good relationship, and I think that the Clippers are very happy having Darius Garland, a 26-year-old point guard in his prime, a player who we've seen play at an all-star level before. I think the Clippers are very happy with that being their first building block with this new rebuild or retool going forward, and I think that trading away Kawhi Leonard and getting more assets to pair with Darius Garland would be the best decision for this franchise. The one thing about this whole situation that really does suck for the Clippers is that even though they're moving towards this new direction with getting younger and getting more draft capital, they can't really tank because they still do not have their first round draft picks. So them tanking and them being bad on purpose, they have no incentive to do that. The Thunder own the Clippers 2026 pick. The Clippers 2027 pick is involved in a swap with OKC. The Clippers 2028 first round pick is owned by the 76ers because of the James Harden trade. And the Clippers 2029 first round pick is a swap with the 76ers. So the Clippers don't really have full control over their first round pick until 2030. And so with the Clippers going more towards this retool, them getting draft capital is going to be other teams' draft capital. So there's no incentive for the Clippers themselves to be bad. So the Clippers seem like they're going to try and do this sort of on-the-fly retool while still trying to be competitive. So what teams would be interested in the offseason if Kawhi Leonard became available? It seems like the Miami Heat are going to try and add a star caliber player during the offseason to try and be real contenders in the East. So I think the Miami Heat would be very interested in Kawhi Leonard. I've seen a lot of trades being drawn up, and most of them involve Tyler Hero, which as a Clippers fan, I like Tyler Hero, but I do not want Tyler Hero if he is going to be paired with Darius Garland, because although offensively that would be an amazing duo, those two together would not be able to guard anybody in the NBA. Literally, both of those guys have been known as guys who defensively get picked on all the time, and putting them together, I don't think would be a good first step for this Clippers rebuild moving forward. Another team that seems like they're going to be very interested in adding another star in the offseason is the Warriors. And as a Clipper fan, I'm not really sure which players would be involved in that trade. It seems like a lot of people have been mocking Jimmy Butler and his contract being traded for Kawhi Leonard, which I guess is interesting for the Clippers because that would first of all be needed to make the money match for Kawhi Leonard's contract. And then when Jimmy Butler eventually gets healthy, him and Darius Garland as sort of like your star duo, it doesn't sound horrible. But the only way that trade would work from the Clippers perspective is draft capital has to be attached, which as a Clipper fan, if the Warriors are going to give us any of their first round draft picks from 2028 to 2031 or something, that to me sounds very, very good, because if the Warriors are going to be investing in a core of Steph Curry, who's already old, Kawhi Leonard, who's already old, Draymond Green, who's old, that core of players only has a few seasons to where they can be looked at as legitimate contenders. And if the Clippers are going to be getting draft capital from the Warriors in 2029 or 2030 or 2031, where Steph Curry might not even be in the league anymore, Kawhi Leonard might not even be in the league anymore, those are going to be valuable first-round picks. So as a Clipper fan, I actually really, really like that deal. I've also seen a lot of people throwing out the Minnesota Timberwolves as a possible team that would be interested in Kawhi, but my personal favorite team that I think it would work best for both sides in a Kawhi Leonard trade is the Pistons. If the Pistons end up having a disappointing playoffs and they get bounced in the second round or in the conference finals, they might be desperate to upgrade their team in the offseason, and I think Kawhi Leonard would actually be a great fit for them. I know it probably sounds super, super unrealistic, but if Asar Thompson was somehow made available in a Kawhi Leonard trade offer, if I'm the Clippers, I'm accepting it right away. Just make the contracts match, give me 1 or 2 first-round picks, and Asar Thompson, you have a deal. That's unrealistic, I think, but maybe in these playoffs, Asar Thompson's lack of perimeter shooting might come back to hurt the Pistons. And if they're looking to move on from that and get a legitimate all-around star player like Kawhi Leonard coming off the season that he just had, they might be desperate enough to make a deal like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. If you're a Pistons fan, would Asar Thompson be available in a Kawhi Leonard trade offer? I don't know. Let me know. And another thing about the Clippers moving forward is that this upcoming draft, the Indiana Pacers gave us their first round pick, but it is protected in the top 4. So as of right now, the Pacers first round draft pick has a 52% chance to end up in the top 4 and a 48% chance to end up as either the 5th pick or the 6th pick. It can't fall any lower than the 5th or 6th pick, but if it ends up being the 5th or 6th pick, that pick conveys to the Clippers, which can be very, very important for this Clippers rebuild. And from everything that I've seen, that range from like pick number 5 to 8 or 9 is full of guards. All the prospects that are projected to be picked in that area are like Kingston Flemings from Houston, Keaton Wagler from Illinois, Darius Acuff from Arkansas. It's a lot of guards in that area, and I think that the Clippers being able to add a guy like a Keaton Wagler or a Kingston Flemings, I think would be really, really good for this Clippers rebuild to jumpstart it. And I know that a lot of people don't really look at the Clippers as one of the teams that has a lot of young players, but the Clippers have been very good at finding these hidden gem type of players that they probably won't ever turn out to be like star caliber players. But the Clippers have had some really good finds on young players that are looking like they're legitimate, real rotational pieces in the NBA. In guys like Yannick Conan Niederhauser, who was the 30th pick in this past year's NBA draft, and in his limited playing time, his rookie season, was very good for this Clippers team. He showed a lot of flashes as a really, really athletic center. And unfortunately, he did get injured about 3/4 of the way through the season. But I think that Yannick has the potential to be a real legitimate center in the NBA, and he's already shown a lot of flashes. The Clippers have also found a guy like Kobe Sanders, who played really, really good minutes this season. Jordan Miller was really, really good as well. The point I'm trying to make is that the Clippers don't really have like a lot of top-tier young talent, but they've been able to find young guys that look like real rotational pieces. And then that brings us to one of the most important questions of the Clippers offseason is Bennedict Mathurin. Because Ben Mathurin going into this offseason is going to be a restricted free agent. And that is going to be super important for the Clippers because he was one of the big pieces that the Clippers got back in the Zubac trade. And Ben Mathurin, when he is on, is an absolute bucket. When Ben Mathurin has it going, he can score at will. He can create his own shot from the three-point line. In the mid-range, he can get to the basket. He's very, very good at drawing fouls as well. And the highs are very, very high with Ben Mathurin. The problem is that the lows are very low as well. Because when Ben Mathurin does not have it going, he tends to have a little bit of tunnel vision where he's only looking to score the ball. He's only looking to get downhill and try and get a bucket for himself, which sometimes really does hurt the Clippers offense. And I think that that's one of the main reasons why the Pacers wanted to move on from Ben Mathurin. So I'm not anti Ben Mathurin at all. I really like Mathurin actually. And I think the Clippers having Ben Mathurin as a scoring punch off the bench is really, really good for this team. So I'm hoping that they're able to bring Ben Mathurin back. I just don't want the Clippers to overpay him in restricted free agency. If he somehow accepts a team-friendly contract, maybe because he doesn't have the market that a lot of people think he's going to have, or if he just outright accepts the qualifying offer from the Clippers, it would be great for the Clippers to bring back Bennedict Mathurin on a team-friendly contract, but I don't want the Clippers to overpay for him. And I kind of think that the strategy that the Clippers need to take is kind of what the Indiana Pacers and the Toronto Raptors have done for like the last 10 to 15 years. Because both of those franchises have never really bottomed out. They've never really purposely tanked. They've never really sold all their assets and gone full rebuild. They've always prioritized having good players in the moment and being competitive in the moment and continuing to build on that as time goes. Because like I was saying earlier, the Clippers have no incentive to tank because they don't have their own first-round draft picks. And I think they're going to try and continue to be competitive. Like, for example, the Indiana Pacers, pretty much ever since really the Paul George days, have been a playoff team and always competitive. And then they retooled when they traded away Paul George. They got back Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis in that trade, and they continued to be competitive. They never bottomed out and they never tanked. And then they eventually flipped Sabonis for Tyrese Halliburton and went on a finals run. Same with the Toronto Raptors. The Toronto Raptors were competitive for years with that core of Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan all those years. And eventually they made a trade for Kawhi, won a championship. Kawhi left, and they've still been competitive ever since. I think that that is the strategy that the Clippers need to take right now with Darius Garland, with Ben Mathurin, with whatever package they end up getting back for Kawhi Leonard. I don't think we're going to see this team tank. But me being a Clippers fan, I'm actually very, very excited. And the situation that the Clippers are in right now is kind of bittersweet because I think we've gotten to a point where we're now acknowledging the fact that the Kawhi Leonard era, we don't regret it as Clipper fans. I think we're very, very happy that we got Kawhi Leonard, that we were able to have this time period where we were legitimately trying to win a championship. And Kawhi Leonard is going to go down as one of the all-time greatest Clippers. But it also is disappointing that the Kawhi Leonard era never reached the ultimate goal of an NBA championship and never even made a finals appearance. It is honestly catastrophic how the Kawhi Leonard era went for the Clippers. But as a Clipper fan, I am very, very excited for what the future holds. Hopefully that Pacers pick conveys and the Clippers end up with the top 6 pick, and we'll see what happens from there. But I actually want to hear from you guys. Do you guys think that that strategy of trying to continue to win while in this retool, while getting a little bit younger, do you think that that's a good strategy, or do you think that that's a horrible idea because the Clippers are just going to be in no man's land where they're not tanking, they're not trying to get a top pick, but they're also not competing, and they're not a real contender? Do you think that that middle area is good or bad for this Clippers team right now? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you guys leave a like on this video. Go back and watch some of the other videos on the channel. I have a Hornets video that was really good, an Atlanta Hawks video that I really think the Hawks are a team that maybe can make some noise in the playoffs. Go watch some of those videos. Subscribe to Yanker Hoops. Thank you guys so much. I'm out of here.